Yo, 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 what is up, everybody? This is Ken, the Hustle Bee, with the gang of the Seller Club podcast, episode 26. Let's drop that beat. And we are back with our mindset episode. Anna, Glenn, what is up?
What is up? What an incredibly rhythmic beat you chose for this episode.
That is
Rhythmic
important.
beat. I really don't dance well. We're gonna see how this podcast goes. It's about
I'll be the
rhythm.
judge of that.
but you can headbang because you're a
Headbang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
That
but I
does
don't have
take
the
some
hair for it,
rhythm.
though.
Because that's what
Anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah. Genres, right? Glenn's Metallica, hard rock.
I'm not even the one. Anna and John. I mean, all of that. They already know. I mean,
Yeah.
they've
Yeah.
dyour for real. I'm just
We've
a
also
listener.
been in country bands, so all over the place.
Oh.
I've done it
really.
all.
Done it all.
Okay, so what's your current music flavor as of late? Anna.
Me?
Yeah.
Man. I don't know. My favorite classical lately is Debussy. But that is just classical. I don't know. I really do
Classical
listen
music,
to a lot
okay.
of genres.
Mm.
I'm
What
not
about
as
you?
much in country anymore. Like, I don't listen to a lot of country. Playing country is super fun.
Okay.
But I don't like listening to country radio a lot anymore.
What about you, Glenn?
I've gone a little bit more alternative, I guess. I've also still came true to the metal stuff, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't really been listening to a lot of like hip hop rap stuff in a good while though.
That's
So I don't know.
that's because you haven't been around me.
That's true.
That was our middle ground.
That's a middle ground. There you go. So I guess depends what mood you're in, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of like baby songs that go on all day long.
It's
'cause of the
even
TV.
Spider,
Yeah.
Wheels on the Bus.
There's like a springtime song that's going on right now. So there's different songs
Appropriate.
for every So those get stuck in the head
You should
pretty
sing us
easily.
one.
I
What's
can't-
the springtime song? I don't know that one.
Yeah, I don't know. I just have to get used to it over and over again. You know what? Also have good stuff. They're kind of underrated now that I've really watched them as an adult. Teletubbies. I didn't really care
Oh
for
my
them,
gosh.
and now watching it, I'm like, you know what? I could watch this.
I might have to fight you on that one.
Why?
I was absolutely haunted by the Teletubbies.
I can't.
Haunted.
Why?
Yes. I have a little sister who's like 8 years younger than me. So when she was little, that was like a fairly new thing, I think. Oh my gosh. Just terrifying. It's terrifying to me. Truly, it haunts me. I still don't
Oh
like
wow.
it.
Yeah,
But I'm actually glad to hear you've had a different experience.
Yeah. It
Well,
gets
now,
I-
not back then,
I
I don't
guess
know.
it
Right.
gets better, Anna. So
Yeah.
So and to everybody that's listening, just because you hated it then, things
Yeah.
change, right?
Yeah.
Things change. People change.
Your brain changes, your life experience changes.
Exactly.
That is true.
I don't know how much the Teletubbies themselves have changed, but Glenn does. So
Yeah.
Now, is today about change or it's about rhythm?
Well, we're gonna change some mindset, some preconceived notion, or some prejudice over
Whoa. Whoa.
the saying, like, I just want to have a balanced life. My
Work-life
goal is
balance.
work-life balance.
yeah.
Relationship balance, and to be honest, this is not a hot take episode, but I hate hearing balance. Because when I
think
hear
it might be a
balance,
hot take.
when I hear balance, my brain goes to like, okay, let's average things out. Let's
Mediocre.
equal things out, right? Like, let's not put too much time on this. Let's take away time from this. That way they'd be balanced. And I'm like, yo, that's cruise control. That's not going somewhere faster or getting to the right direction where you want to take your project, your life, your health, your business to the next level. So I've really I've battled with that, and I was like, I don't want to have balance. And if you look at the greats, a lot of them have been very extreme, radical about their discipline, their habits, their, me and Anna just talked about Steve Jobs wore the same thing over and over again.
Very true.
He didn't, yeah, right, but created a great company. And I was like, okay, like, I'll wear the same thing over and over again if I could do something great. So that's not balance, because balance
Just
be like
wash it sometimes.
yeah, or buy a new one.
Yeah,
Who knew
buy
if
7
you
of
pop
the same.
tags every day,
Yeah.
right?
Who knows?
So that's kind of like the precepts, and then one day, literally, this is why this episode is called "Balance is Out, Rhythm is In." That's all what Ken said. Because that's literally what I told Anna. Anna, this is one episode. And it just stuck to me. And I think you two can correct me if I'm wrong, that as of late, I've been applying this a lot to everything that I've done. so
No correction needed.
So
I totally agree.
So that's kind of like the thing that I want us to discuss. The mindset of, let's find rhythm rather than finding balance. So I'm gonna open it up. Glenn, Anna, what do you guys think?
Anna first. I wanna hear.
Oh, well, thanks, Glenn.
Oh.
I agree. First of all, that Ken has been radically applying this principle in his life, especially in his aquarium. I had to talk about the fish. I had to.
Yes.
He's been all about building out amazing aquariums lately, which is really cool. But yeah, I think it's interesting. I think the idea of like work-life balance, for example, is really well-intentioned. It's kind of a buzzword. And, I think that phrase developed because people felt a sense of imbalance or like out of control, right? Or like, I don't have enough time. Like when I hear that, I think of somebody not having enough time for some of the important stuff in their life. And what they're really trying to do is reclaim some portion of their time, of their daily experience for the stuff that they want and that they love and that matters to them. But I don't necessarily think balance per se is the answer either, in terms of, like you said, averaging everything or mediocrity or like, let's have 24 different micro slices of different pies and call that balance. It can be spread too thin, right? Like there's a certain amount of focus that is required of your time, energy, and other resources if you want to see growth and momentum. And I think that's kind of like what you're getting at here, right? Like there are different seasons. If we're talking rhythm, right? Let's throw seasons in there too. There's different seasons of your life where your focus has to be really, really concentrated on something, like in a sort of out of balance way. I'm sure Glenn knows all about that, having a baby in his house, right? Like having a baby in your life that you're responsible for. You're not living the most balanced life, but you're doing it right? So I'm not going to speak about that on your behalf, but I do want to hear how that has been for your experience. So yeah, I think rhythm is really important. Rhythm to me implies like you're finding some kind of a pattern that works for this endeavor or this time period. And it might look totally different than the rhythm that you had last season or last month or whatever, or last year in your business. Different circumstances require us to be flexible and change those things up. But something about rhythm is like consistent. There's still a discipline involved in that, right? Yeah. Like I think some people think, well, balance equals discipline, and rhythm doesn't like avoid discipline, but it's kind of just finding like, what are the most important things and how do we work them together into like a beautiful flow for what works right now? Those are my initial thoughts.
Yeah, it's we talked about like work-life balance when we were doing the Wednesday shows, and I know we would get a bunch of comments like, well, neither one of you have kids, so not that they're like thought less of us as far as challenge like a reseller challenge type of thing. It's kind of like, you guys kind of have it easy. You have no kids.
Yeah, like you don't get it.
Yeah, like you think this, if reselling is difficult, try having all these other things that come into play.
And Glenn's like, challenge accepted.
You're like, watch.
And then once it happened, I was like, man, these people in the comments, they were 100% right. I'm like,
No.
I'm like, it was way easier, and it is pretty difficult now having the little human to watch. And, now I know, like, the work-life balance just does not exist.
But speaking of hot takes, I don't see you using parenthood as an excuse either. Like,
True.
I think that obviously that's a huge set of challenges that you can't understand fully unless you have experienced it. And I haven't either. I don't have kids yet.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard Glenn say, like, yo, guys, like, I'm going to make less this year because I have a kid. Right. Ever since Glenn got a kid, this guy's been trying to make more money. This guy's trying to make more bigger moves. And I'm like, okay, like, I want to be like that. It's like he's smarter, and at the same time, he's got a lot more to think of as far as responsibility. Because another human being. But at the same time, it didn't make him gun shy to make moves.
Yeah. True. And you're like, also, Glenn, I mean, I see a fraction of your life at a time, but like, it really seems to me that you also prioritize time with your kid. Like, you're not like working all the time to the detriment of that relationship either. But, it is, I think, as with any other kind of major life circumstance, like, it can be your excuse if you think of it that way. If you use it that way, if you let it become that. But it doesn't have to,
Yeah, I think once you have, I don't know, someone, or even, I mean, you have that little step, right? You get married, and every time, too, people are going to tell you, like, oh, you're chained up now, or you're locked. They're throwing these little jokes. Ball and chain. Exactly. Throwing these little jokes.
Locked down, tied down, ball and chain. It all sounds so like prison-like.
I know, and like it made me wonder too. Like, so the people that are giving me these comments, like, are they just unhappy, or what does this mean? Like. No. And once I was married, I was like, this isn't tough.
You're like, you are telling me more about you than you're telling me about me.
Yeah. Exactly. That Anna said it.
I mean, guys, raise your hand if you love being married.
See?
We are all raising our hands. Yeah. I know y'all can't see this, but we all have healthy relationships, so we love being married to our spouses. So.
I mean, you've been in through all of these talks with therapy and things like that, and listening many people talking about this, but...
Oh, yes.
All it comes down to is communication more than anything else. Nobody can read anybody's their minds, what's going on, what are they
not
thinking.
Even me as the therapist.
Exactly.
We cannot read minds.
Right.
That's
Can't
not
read
our
minds.
Not our wheelhouse.
You have to, if something is going on, you have to express it and do that in a healthy way. If it's not going to happen, then you're going to have a very, very tough time.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and speaking about balance, I mean, that's another huge area where I feel like we have to find a rhythm, right, with our partners, because everybody is not always capable of like giving, like, first of all, balance is out the window too, because in that regard too, because each person giving 50% to equal 100% is not it.
Nope.
Each person gives as much as possible of their 100% at all times, and those amounts vary day in and day out. It's like we have to pick up each other's slack sometimes, right? We have to find rhythms where, if I have a lot on my plate, or like I'm down, or I'm going through something, like sometimes John has to do a little bit more heavy lifting in our relationship, and vice versa,
Yeah.
He's really stressed out. He's got a lot on his plate. Whatever, he's dealing with something, like sometimes I have to go out of my way and do a little more of the effort or whatever than usual. But like in the end, it's like it all does kind of quote unquote balance out in the sense that we trust each other, we're there for each other, we pick up each other's slack, and we move forward through life that way. It doesn't have to be a little splitting hairs 50-50 in every single scenario. Like, that is just exhausting. That's not the way to strike an equal, equitable relationship up.
Mm-hmm. And another illustration that I want to bring up is it's dancing to the rhythm, right? When Anna brought up seasons,
Yeah.
we have to identify the season we're in. I mean, it's kind of funny how we ask ourselves what's the music of the genre music that we're listening into right now.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be headbanging to jazz. You know what I'm saying? That's not the rhythm. You cannot.
Can,
I mean, you can, but it'll be goofy, right? Like it's not gonna sync. I think what rhythm's gonna create is getting synced too. When you create your rhythm, a pattern that's repeatable, that's sustainable for extended period of time, because we all can agree that once we get into a rhythm mode or we get into the zone, it doesn't mean that it's gonna be like this for the next 10 years. Right. Because like I know even in my business story, my first 2 years was in a rhythm, was in the zone that everybody said it was unhealthy. At that moment, they were probably right based on their own assessment, but I had to do that in that season. I had to dance that step in that season. And then now I can slow dance. So I think that's one of the things that I want to bring up again. It's like distinguish and find and identify the season that you're in, because I would say, would you agree that the season you're in or the music you're dancing to maybe could be things that are out of our control? Sometimes,
yeah.
Yeah.
I love that as an illustration. And yeah, it can be really hard because, like you said, it's like even other people and even ourselves, like we're not perfect at assessing how healthy our rhythms are at all times. But I think as people, we have a difficult bias a lot of the time where we think we kind of fundamentally assume or project that whatever's happening right now or however things are right now is like probably how it's gonna always be, right? That's actually like true. A really big bias in depression and anxiety too, where it's like
if it's bad now, it's gonna be bad forever.
Somewhere in your mind, you're like, it will always be like this, and that's scary if you're having a really bad mental health experience, right? But I think normally in life too, even with business, like there are all these things that are kind of out of our control. There's opportunities that happen that we couldn't have predicted. There's good and bad things that come along. And like we can't assume that even if we set things up perfectly for right now, we nail it. We are kicking the beat. It's great. That it's just going to continue on like that indefinitely unless we change something. Like that's not going to be a helpful belief. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but you knew that like back when you were starting your business and you were going really hard. Yeah, if you did continue that way, you'd eventually just burn out. It wasn't healthy. And maybe it wasn't healthy at the time either, but you knew this isn't going to be how I stay. This is an intense season for right now. And that does make a difference, Like it helps if you can have a sense of that. Like this is a temporary, really upbeat moment that I'm in. But, after I'm doing that so that after this song is over, I can have a little bit of a breather for the next one.
I like that take when you said the perception or the bias of this being forever.
Yeah.
Right? I think as an entrepreneur or as a business owner, you shouldn't think that way because
it's a dangerous one.
There's so many fires you have to put out every day, and if you think that way, you become a fireman.
Well, on the flip side, Ken, if you are not having a good, super prosperous time in your business and you just like learn, it's almost like learned helplessness. Like, oh, well, it's never going to get any better than this. Are you going to see an opportunity when it smacks you in the face? No, because you're not going to be open to it. You know what I mean? You're not even going to see it, or you're going to doubt it, or you're going to think, that's too good to be true, or, that's too big of a risk. I don't want to raise my expectations because I might be disappointed. Like, we can really shoot ourselves in the foot so many different ways by thinking this is how it's always going to be.
I guess it's kind of hard to like see it in a different perspective too, to where we live in a great time to do so well from like making money at home.
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe I need to go hard in the paint because I don't know, again, like how long this is gonna last.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe the
You
song
know,
will end.
I
Right?
mean,
I mean, the
any
song will
supply
eventually
could-
end. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's true.
exactly. Nothing's gonna last forever. I mean,
Yeah.
supply could run out. Something could happen. Something could change. I mean, 2020 was just a weird time to be alive.
Right.
I mean,
Yep.
and the things we had to go through and how much change there that
Yeah.
it's like, you know, I don't think there's anything more that me and Ken could have done in 2018, 2019. I think we were going hard in the paint for the most part.
Already, yeah.
From traveling, from selling, from everything else.
Yeah.
And then when that happened, things completely changed all around. And then now you have to make new adjustments, you know, moving forward. And so I'm pretty sure, you know, some people might have that kind of looking back and be like, man, maybe I should have done more in 2019 before this happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I could have done more selling online, or I could have done better for my business. Or, you know, there's a lot of people that didn't know how much they hated their job until 2020 came around.
Yeah.
And like,
They were
man,
off at home from it for like months.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh man, I
You know?
really don't want to go back.
I could have done so much more the last, I don't know how
Yeah.
many years I've been here at this job, or things
Yeah.
like that. So it's, I don't know, it's a different thought process. But
Yeah.
what do you
But
think
isn't
about
that
that?
isn't that why it's so important to try to like tune in to what is working and not working in your life
Right.
right now? I mean, I feel like what you're describing in 2020, that was just such a wake up call for people that they were just like, I guess I got to stick with this. This is just the only option. This is how
Right.
it is. And again, like
Yeah.
I was saying, this is how it's always going to be. So I can't really question it too much, or I'll have an existential crisis, you know?
Yeah.
And then the circumstances changed and allowed you to like take a fresh, different look at your work and your work environment, maybe your situation, and go, there's probably a better way. And
Right.
now's my chance to like find it. But I think that's part of this whole rhythm thing. Like, say that you are in a 9-to-5 job that you hate or something, and you know, what does that rhythm look like? Are you just like living for the weekend every week?
Yeah.
Are you
Mm-hmm.
you know, numbing out on your weeknights? Are you trying to just like get through the
Escape.
day, do the bare
Yep.
minimum? Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways that we kind of do that, and we resist the
Yeah.
life that we're in because it's a huge scary question mark if we dare face it.
Yeah.
But like your rhythm of life at the moment, if you can look at it, will like really show you that, you know, there will be flags, like there will be
Yeah.
signs that
So-
maybe you need to change it up.
So guys, if we evaluate our rhythm right now, the song we're in, the season we're in, what are the steps that we can do tangibly, that we can share to everybody, that we have personally have done when the rhythm changed or when the song changed? Or how do we identify a pattern,
recognize?
right? Like, how do you recognize that? I like what you said, that go with whatever's working currently, figure that out, and dance to that tune more.
Yeah.
Or find that pattern. What are your other steps or decision changes or mindset that you have to go into? I like to ask Glenn, once you got the baby, you know, once you
Once you
I mean-
got that baby.
Yeah,
what?
once
I
got
mean,
this
and
baby.
it's not even like it was a surprise, right? Like you literally
Yeah, yeah.
waited
Surely
for
not.
9 months,
Yeah,
right? But
exactly.
it's different when it happened. Like, it's kind of like,
Yeah.
you know, like certain life situations hit you. You know, it doesn't become real until it's really there. You can prepare for
True.
it as much as you want, like everybody said, right?
Yeah.
But you're not like getting up 6 times a night.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't do
That
that.
happens when it
right? Like, you
happens.
can't like, hey Alexa, like just start crying randomly, and then you know, like we don't have that technology yet, or maybe we do.
Take this bottle, Alexa.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, what did you have to do, and what can you share to people that, you know, how to get into a different rhythm, or did you just cold turkey it, or did you just say whatever?
Well, even going back, I know I always said like, oh, this isn't difficult talking about being married, but going back to that first step, like if you've never lived with anyone,
Oh yeah.
It's that's already a big adjustment.
But yeah, that was a huge adjustment in the beginning for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And there might be some small things that irritate you. There might be small things that you don't care about. Like, why is the toilet paper roll this way? Some people just bother
Over
them.
under.
For me, as long as there's toilet paper on the roll, we're already in a big dub.
We're winning.
Honestly, yes.
So that doesn't bother me. But there are definitely things like, I snore a lot. Obviously, my nose is still messed up until I get that surgery. I don't know when that's going to be.
I snore more.
Do you have a deviated
I
septum or
snore
something?
really hard.
Yeah.
And
B snores very hard.
Glenn is a light sleeper.
I'm super
So,
light.
the first time segue, guys. The first time we were there.
This is a sidebar.
My rhythm, this is me. My rhythm is whenever I go out of town, get tired, and I'm not sleeping in my bed, I snore big time.
That's
I don't
hilarious.
snore here at home. Crazy. I don't. And then the second night, Glenn's like, hey, can we stop by Target real quick? I was like, okay. Stop by Target. It's like we walked in. Glenn walked in. I was like, this guy's probably feeling sick or something like that. Probably need to get some meds or
He's
something.
like sick of your snoring.
Yeah, he was. Next thing you know, he started looking at the earplugs. I'm like, what? I'm like, is
that
this guy
is
gonna
so
wear it?
passive-aggressive.
No, it's like, is this guy gonna like start putting earplugs while we're driving around because he don't want to listen to me or something like that?
Please
Do I talk
explain.
too much? And next thing you know, he's a really light sleep. He'll wake up at anything. Which
Wow.
is, at that moment, I felt really safe.
Yeah, exactly. Anything I heard, I was like, what's
Your
that noise?
bodyguard, Glenn?
Yeah.
Well,
So, yeah, I had to
actually,
get that.
Glenn, that was very kind of you to buy yourself earplugs. What would have been passive aggressive is buying Ken a nose strip. That
nose
would have been
plugs.
passive aggressive.
Oh, true. That's
I got
true.
you this gift.
Try it out tonight.
Perfect opportunity. That is
Exactly.
so funny. Oh, to be a fly on the wall. That's hilarious.
But yeah, I have a deviated septum on my right side, and then I have a bone spur on my left. So
Bro.
apparently that was from basketball many years.
Oh, he got hit.
And the many times getting hit. So even now at the point to where like eating sometimes is kind of getting difficult, and I'm like, they already said too, the older you get, the harder it's
The
gonna
worst.
be.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of
Brutal.
waiting for baby to just get a little bit older, and then I'm gonna have to do it. And I'm like,
Oh,
Are you
man.
gonna have
Man.
a reconstructive nose surgery too?
next thing you know, just like a
Glenn's nose job.
Glenn's
Yeah.
just like perfect nose.
yeah, perfect nose.
Glenn
All of a
just sounds
sudden-
completely different on the podcast.
Oh
Totally.
no,
After
dude! Will
that
that
point.
change
That's
your
true.
voice?
Yeah.
I think it would.
It will
I
change
mean,
the resonance.
Hey,
in
as
your
long as
face,
it's
yeah.
deeper, it's not gonna be like, hey everybody.
I don't know if it'll change the pitch.
Oh,
It's
my
a
bad.
Do we need to talk about pitch versus resonance?
Yeah, that was like a chipmunk, Alvin and the Chipmunks podcast.
Well, guys, it's been nice having this show with you.
This
fun
is
while it
rhythm,
lasted.
guys. This is a rhythm. Exactly. We don't have to balance things out. We can laugh a little bit.
We started about marriage. That was that first step.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
and
that
snoring.
that is catching a different rhythm too.
Yeah.
Living with somebody and catching, where they're at, where you're at. You're gonna learn some things along the way. But I feel like they're both very similar, having a baby and being married. That you can prepare all you want, you can sell all you want, you can listen to whatever you want, tips and all that. But until you're actually there,
Yeah.
then you kind of have to adjust along the way and learn along the
Totally.
way. So that's the way I would probably say to approaching both of those and learning. Baby stuff like, I'm not really, I don't like carrying or holding anyone's baby. Like I had cousins, things like I feel weird. Like this is not my child. Like even though they're cute, it just feels a little different to me. So even
yeah.
having my own,
It's
I
not
kind of
the
had to learn more about carrying my own, like, and how I'm gonna be holding her and things like that. And it was the first 2 weeks of having a child. I was like, is it like this forever? It was like just no sleep. I felt like really tired all the time.
Yeah.
And until the baby starts getting like a little, I remember the week or like 2.5 weeks in, I was listing at 3 a.m. Baby was awake, and we were doing little shifts. So my shift was, I think I was doing 2 to 6, and then the wife is doing like 6 to 12, and then we'd kind of switch and go from that. So like I had baby here with me, in her little like dock tot thing that she was in, and I was just like taking photos and listing, and so every little time that I had was on to like baby and business.
So you had more listings done.
I did have more listings done.
Discipline.
Yeah. So that was interesting.
Yeah.
I was never listing stuff late at night or early morning, I should say.
Well, I guess
Yeah,
I
the
mean
wee
that
hours.
shows
Oof.
like adaptability, being
Yeah.
able to adapt and being able to learn, on the spot. I guess
Yeah.
So
Well, and also just like, yeah, being flexible. But to me, I mean, you just talked about two of the most important components of your daily life, your business and your family. And it's
Yeah.
like you saw all of the puzzle pieces and went, okay, how can I make this work?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that question is like the difference maker.
Mm.
You're not asking,
How
you
can I
know,
get out of this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of
What-
saying how can I
or
get out of this?
what do I
you're
have
saying,
to cut? How do
Yeah.
I?
Oh,
You're saying
wow. That-
how can we do it?
That is
True.
profound. We have to rewind that. The difference maker is, Anna, go ahead.
Why don't you just rewind it in post?
Okay.
I don't remember exactly how I said it.
The different. No. I'm gonna say. I know you know it, but I'm gonna rephrase or say it again. The difference maker is the question you ask yourself. At the
Yes.
moment of change of rhythm, the difference maker will be the question you ask yourself. Because Glenn did say, "How can I make this work?"
Right.
On the contrary, I kind of suggested like, how can I make this stop, or how can I get rid of this, or like you said, how can I decrease?
Yeah,
or
what do I
take
have to
away?
cut out?
What do I have
Yeah.
to cut?
Yeah.
That is two different perspective in life or in
Yeah.
anything when you face change, because the first is you're trying to solve a problem. You're trying to make it work. You're hopeful. The other thing is like, oh crap, this is bad. What do I need to get rid of? Or what
Yeah.
do I need to cut? So, I think we solved life's mystery problem right there. Is a question you ask yourself. We have to coin that. Anna Packer.
Wow.
The real
Ooh.
def-
Wow,
the,
see?
the difference maker is the question you ask yourself.
It is.
Anna Packer. That's gonna be on our Wisdom Wednesday coming right up.
Boom. Everyone will be like, who's Anna Packer?
Well, the sad
So, like, one post.
no. The sad part is that when you are into a challenge like that, could be in marriage, could be child, could be business, there are people that are like, "Hey, how do I get out of this?"
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
Or whose fault is it? It's not mine.
true.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
a lot of blame that comes into play. It's kind of crazy when there is a child and they're like, "This is all her fault. I had nothing to do with this." And I'm like, "What?"
Oh,
I hate those comments. I'm like, "What do you
Yeah.
have nothing to do with this?"
You
Like,
had, my friend, you had everything to do with
She
this.
should have known and
She
done
should have
everything,
Yeah.
done everything to prevent this from happening.
Well, I think it can be really intimidating. I mean, even just asking yourself that question, right? Asking the
Right.
right question is a really important piece of the path, right? Of the journey. But like, it's really hard to even ask yourself that question if you have never seen anyone around you ask that question. Everyone around you is blaming and trying to get out of stuff and trying to decrease or lock it all down, right? But it's also hard to find the answer. Even if you do ask yourself the right question, it's hard to find the answer if you've never seen somebody else effectively answer that question. And, you know, for me, like, my challenge might be in my eBay business or whatever. But, you know, I have, for example, one of my best friends she and her husband decided to basically sell everything, full-time RV, like right after they had their second child. Right? They hit the road. Like, they had a young daughter, a brand new young baby, and 2 dogs. They like sold off most of their stuff, moved out of their place, and, you know, traveled full-time RVing, and they had businesses they could essentially do from home. And they went all over the country like that, and they planned for it. And I'm like, how many people want to do something like that, and they think, well, I can't because I have little kids.
Right. It's impossible.
It's just not
right
possible.
Now. I'll wait later.
What? And was it super challenging? Yes, it was, but it was worth it.
Yeah, and it would be challenging too if you do it when you can barely walk.
Exactly.
If you wait too late.
Pick your poison, right?
Right.
And they, of course, they were very intentional with this choice. They did lots of preparation about it. It was really hard, and they were happy to admit when it was really hard. But their girls got to grow up, you know, in their early life, having all these incredible experiences, seeing their parents say, we're going to find the way to do this because it's important for us. And ultimately, we'll get to spend more time with our family. We'll get to have way less overhead for like our cost of living. We'll get to see the whole country together. Like, the foundation that they set on purpose was absolutely incredible. And I mean, for every like one of them, there are thousands of other people who are just like too intimidated by it and say like, that's not doable.
Yeah.
And because of the kids, you know, or whatever.
Right.
And I'm not saying like kids are not always like the scapegoat, and that's not always an excuse. Sometimes it is not possible and it's not practical, but you don't know that unless you ask the right question and then you really try to find the answer, even if you've never seen somebody else like hand you the answer. You've never seen someone else do it. You've never seen someone else succeed in your exact situation. That doesn't mean it's not possible.
Yeah. No, 100%. I mean, trying to quit a full-time job into becoming a full-time reseller is like a totally different situation. You got to figure that out. And does it make sense? Can you do it?
Yeah.
You can't say, like Anna said, like, you can't just say, well, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Or always saying, never will that happen. I need this job.
Right.
Well, how bad are you willing to push this? I think anyone can be a full-time eBay reseller. And perfecting and learning a certain niche or what they like selling and building upon probably more than likely, a hobby at first or a part-time here and there and brings in some extra money. But if you really, really wanted to do it, you can do it.
Well, yeah. And speaking of rhythms, like sometimes even if we have the wherewithal and the guts to ask the question, how can I do this? We don't always like the answer, but
true.
It's like, okay, yeah, if I actually do the math and I'm already in a job that I'm frustrated with or whatever, well, I could slowly build year over year for 5 years and then go full time. Well, who wants to hear that? That's a lot. That feels like a long time, you know?
Yeah. Right.
And then you're committing maybe to this rhythm of life if everything even goes according to the way you think it will, right? Like best laid plans, right? But like, okay, so 5 years, but here's the thing. Like, God willing, you still live the next 5 years. Those 5 years are going to pass either way.
Yeah.
And are you going to have built something or not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, 5 years to build something is less than 10% of your lifespan. Are you willing to put in 10% of your... I mean, we're almost there. Just joking. We're halfway there. We're halfway there, right? So currently, right now, it's still expensive because it's like 20% of our lifetime.
But also, if you're in a job that you hate, have you already spent 5 years there? Because those 5 years went by. You know what I mean? Like time marches on. But I think those are like, you have to try to have some kind of a realistic expectation about, okay, well, if I'm going to find a way, doesn't mean there's an easy way, doesn't mean there's an instant way, but there probably is a way, and it's probably going to require you to put more on your plate before you can put less on your plate, right?
Yep.
So you have to be willing to change your rhythm to accommodate that, but it's probably just for a time, and that time is going to pass either way.
Yeah, I think changing rhythm or getting on a rhythm and not focusing on taking away or balancing things out, what to cut, getting on a rhythm will require sacrifice, and it's both, right? Understanding the rhythm you're in requires some honest, probably emotional, mental energy to sacrifice to actually distinguish where you are currently, and finding a way where what to do to get to the rhythm you want to be in takes sacrifice.
Yeah.
So I think if or I believe that rhythm requires sacrifice. Would you guys agree on that statement?
Yeah, well,
otherwise
someone's gonna
it's
have to
just
give.
chaos. Otherwise it's like all disjointed. I mean, there's only like a certain cadence that will fit, right?
Mhm,
It's like
yeah.
you can't just throw anything at it and it works. Like it is very intentional. And either you decide or your circumstances decide for you, right? So something is going to shape you into that rhythm. But Ken, I kind of want to go and turn your question to you also and kind of circle back to this a little bit. Like the idea of when the song changes, how do you recognize it? Like, how do you determine that shift? And what do you look for to see, okay, what do I need to adjust here so that I can sync up with this?
Yeah, I think when you say that, there's two things. I think there's external change. We talked about what is not in your control,
Yeah.
right? Or things that you're in control. But let's talk about the not in your control kind of things, right? It could be externally and internally that is not in your control, because as humans, I think our preference over time changes too at the same time.
Oh yeah.
Right? Our palate
We
even
change.
changes.
Yeah.
Right? Like our understanding change, right? Like we say like I hate this saying, it's like, oh, you get bored too easily and you jump from one thing to another. I've been told that so many times in my life because I was borderline in the spectrum. They thought I had autism because I just couldn't get focused.
Yeah.
But what it was is I figured it out quicker than everybody else, and I'm like, this ain't it. On to the
You're
next.
like, next.
so
Yeah.
so I think we have to be real with ourselves and be like, okay, like this is not enjoyable anymore. I think we have that internal like gratitude or gratification or the smile. If what we're doing doesn't really bring smile to us anymore, but doesn't bring that real smile out, and we're just faking it, I think that's when you have to realize, like, man, like the song has changed, my preference has changed, and you can easily identify that with people that we come in contact with every day.
For
Like-
sure.
like-
Sometimes the people around you see it before you see it.
Right.
Often.
Exactly. Yeah.
That is often the case.
And me and my wife actually have made it to a point to actually compliment and call out people that are smiling while they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I could say like, hey, you really like what you're doing. Keep at it. You're doing a great job, because it will show, right? Like what's inside will show externally, and you can just see somebody's just tired of doing this.
Yeah.
And at that point, I just don't bother ask anything more. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, this guy's like either
Like you
at
hate
the
your
end,
job.
yeah,
You
hate
don't wanna
your
be
job.
here.
You don't want to be here. I was like, no, let me just go to the next restaurant or go to the next service employee, or go to the next, and that's I see that even with my with my coaches at Orange Theory. I go with the people that are passionate to work out there, and if I get stuck in a group that are just like, oh, it's Monday, it's working out, I was like,
Bye.
I don't want to be with this group.
Yeah.
I find a group that are looking forward to be there, and I think the tail sign is when you see and recognize that you're preparing for something that's about to happen. That means you're excited about it. That means you're like
Yeah.
You're not just barely scraping by
Yeah.
to get there. You know,
You're like
not,
hopeful.
yeah, you're not
looking
walking.
toward the
Yeah, you're not
future.
walking
Yeah.
at the door on the dot of the meeting, right? On the dot of the said schedule. I've made it to a point that I want to be early. If I catch myself being late, that's when I know. I was like, I guess I don't care to be here that much anymore. And it's okay.
Yeah.
And I think it's okay. I think people start messing up when they force the issue too much, too long, that at the end of the day, it actually ruins your own rep. And we all don't want that.
Nope.
I think that's really smart though to be looking to be kind of examining your own reactions and responses. Like one of my favorite speakers says, like, if your spirit leaves, take your body with it.
Yeah,
Like,
that's true.
don't force your body to linger when like your heart's already out the door. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I think it's true. Like, that doesn't necessarily mean, okay, well then just like drop everything, quit what you're doing. But like, that's such a good sign that that maybe the song is changing and you need to reevaluate, right? That shouldn't scare you, like, oh my gosh,
No.
I have to quit something or change something.
Right.
You just need to look closer
Yeah.
and reevaluate, like, what are your top priorities right now? What are your actual obligations? What can you cut that maybe is just like dead weight in your life or is dragging you down? Like, what's something that's fresh that maybe you need? Like, it's a sign, just a clue to like take inventory of that stuff.
Yeah.
And then
I
from there you can figure out the new rhythm.
I think people focus too much on the song ending instead of a new song beginning.
Yeah.
Instead of like they get so sad about it's gonna end and they hold on to it too long.
Well, do
until
you know why?
Why?
Because the old song is known and the new song is unknown.
They know the rhythm,
They
right?
know the lyrics too.
It's familiar.
Yeah. Oh.
It's familiar. It's a comfort zone. That's why I'm telling you.
Man, what do you think, Len?
I mean, I agree 100% on the rhythm. And like you said, I think the sacrifice part, though, is like when things are on a roll. And I try to go back to the reselling part, though, because I know we're a reselling podcast. But going back to the reselling part,
Thanks.
if you are on a roll and you're listing consistently and you're making it a part of your day, and then something happens to where, hey, a friend invites you to go eat, are you going to go or not? I mean,
Yeah.
are you going to sacrifice that time with a friend to list because you are doing so well and you're getting somewhere? Or are you going to take that break and go? And sometimes you say, well, I need to get out. I need to take a break.
Yeah.
I've done so well. I've earned this. I mean, that's up to you to decide if whatever you've earned or not. But you can sacrifice that. There also could be family time too that you're sacrificing when, my example, which happens a lot, supplier calls or something comes in or something, and it takes way longer than I thought.
Yeah.
And like
Story
I
of
wanna
my
go-
life.
Yeah.
Things taking way longer than I thought. I'm like, how did this take all day? Oh my gosh.
Exactly. So it's like, I may not have eaten yet, so we're sacrificing lunch, we're sacrificing spending time with family, we're sacrificing this because this other thing is going on.
Yeah.
But in order for all of it to work, it's like we do need this part to go well or to figure that part out. I know, which I hadn't seen it in a long time, and I think I finally watched it because it randomly came on, and then me and the wife were watching it, of course. Beano's Pursuit of Happiness, which I know is just one of those that, like, these different things and challenges are going to come your way, and still somehow, some way trying to figure that out and to make it happen. But being in charge of a little person like my baby and, and even for the future, I'm like, what does that look like 20 years from now? What does eBay look 20 years from now? What does reselling look 20 years from now? I don't know. But while it's doing well right now, I better get to it and figure this out and keep it running because it is doing so well right now. And so it's kind of crazy to think about down the road because I know AI is going to be doing a bunch of stuff. Things are going to look different. So I think we have to definitely do the best that we can right now, especially like Anna said, if you know what you're doing and what you're doing is, is right, and what you're doing is well and it's going well, keep going and keep going all in.
Yeah. That's the thing, though. Like, your ability to go, to adapt, right, to the new songs, to find the new rhythm. Like, if you're paying attention at all, and realize that you're able to do that, the sense of, like, we call that in psychology self-efficacy, right? The fact that you are becoming this capable, trustworthy person who can adapt when things change, like, that's the closest thing to actual security that we can get.
That is true.
Like, maybe it will all look different in 20 years from now, but you, by that point, will be a person who has time after time rolled with the changes and found the new rhythm.
Yep.
And so you can have confidence and relax that when things change again, you'll know how to figure out the new rhythm again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that analogy about being secured, knowing that you can adapt and you can change. I think that kind of like gets erased over time.
Yeah.
When you stay on one place for far too long that you forgot. You know how they say, like, remember where you came from?
Yeah.
I like that saying because, like, I could always remember where I came from. And I'm like, wait, 10 years ago, I came to this country with 2 suitcases. And now I have more than 2 suitcases.
You have 3 suitcases.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. And I even have one of my
I
carry-on.
have one of your suitcases
You know what
in
I'm
my
saying?
house right now.
Like, so, like, I could have one suitcase in my
vouch for
friend's
that.
house, all of my friend's house, and still have enough suitcases. And that alone is, like a comfort to me.
Yeah.
That whenever things are not working well, when it seems like things are out of rhythm, always look back to, like, wait, I was able to get this far. I was able to figure this out. Or actually, I would even go to the far extremes, like, man, I've actually have underwent through worse situation than this.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
I know somebody that have overcame more than this situation.
Yeah.
If they can do it, if they were able to figure it out, we all can do it as well. And, so as the rhythm of the heart is so important, we should make it a priority because the rhythm of the heart is actually correlated with, in running, the speed of your pace. The faster your speed, the faster your heartbeat. And they say, like, how because my one of my coaches said the indicator of you being cardiovascularly fit is not actually how high you can get your heart rate or your rhythm up. It's actually how fast you recover.
Wow. That'll preach.
So, like, if you just went through a sprint, a tough time, where your heartbeat was so high, your rhythm is so fast-paced, that's cool. But after that, you take rest, and how long or how fast can you recover onto the next sprint. And I think that's what we say, like, the rhythm of life.
Yeah.
Because it's never one pace. It's always going to be speed, uphill, walk, jog, speed, uphill, walk. And as long as we're able to recover off of that last run, and the smarter and the more responsible we get, I think the faster we recover and on to the next rhythm.
Yeah. Well, and how do you build that kind of confidence? How do you build that kind of overall health? You train.
Yep. Doing it
which
every
is
day.
Repeated experience, right? Like,
Yep.
what gives you the confidence that you're going to be able to
that you can recover.
It's because you've done it.
Yeah.
Like, you've done it over and over, and you can trust yourself. Like, that's pretty cool. I like that analogy too.
So what about when you talked about Steve Jobs earlier, I guess, wearing the same things all the time. I thought about that too. Like, I'm on Whatnot, 4 times a week, and I usually wear, like, the same stuff over and over and over again because I'm, like, at home, and I'm, like, not, I don't know, like, I'm not going to be wearing something nice. I'm usually wearing, like, shorts and a t-shirt
Right.
and selling just from home. but I am comfortable wearing that. But maybe in my own head, it doesn't really matter. But maybe for the people viewing, it kind of does matter. Because also I wore like some hat that I'm gonna eventually sell, but I didn't even have it listed. And they're like, when are you gonna sell that hat? You know, do you have that hat? And I'm like, here I am not wearing any hats that I should because I'm selling them.
Yeah.
And maybe in my own head, I'm just thinking, well, I really don't care what I'm wearing. But in reality, it does matter. Same thing goes with like eating. When I was, living at home and I was like first introduced to merch by Amazon and I was designing t-shirts. I tried to like design so many shirts over and over again. I was eating peanut butter and jelly every day for that whole stint I was doing
Wow.
it. And I guess because I was just so focused on doing this that it didn't matter what I was eating.
Yeah.
So, and Anna, is that a problem? Is that wrong?
I don't know if it's nutritionally complete.
True.
But no, I mean, in principle, no. I think that's like Steve Jobs wearing the same outfit every day. The whole point is reducing decision fatigue, right? It's all about streamlining and efficiency. And, maybe the PB&Js were not as conscious of a decision as having like an identical capsule wardrobe. But I think the concept comes out in the wash there, right? It's like, okay, well, you didn't want to put any time and effort into figuring out 7 different lunches, and who cares? Like, this will do. The things that I'm prioritizing are not that, and I'm doing enough to keep myself fueled, so whatever. Like, beyond that, you gave the necessary amount of attention to that and no more and no less. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's really a huge deal. I mean, like anything, I'm sure it could become pathological at some point, but
Yep. I mean,
but only because it's hurting you or whatever. Like, for a short period of time, most things like that are going to help you in the sense of reducing decision fatigue.
True, but I think that's what kind of helped me though on the vegan side of things because it made me
I think I became vegan. What happened?
It eliminated how much I could eat. Because when I go to restaurants, I don't have to make any decisions. It's like they either have this or they don't.
That's so true.
And it was just kind of like a lot quick. Maybe just a lot of like the speed of things too.
Right.
Just like make a decision, gone.
This doesn't sound nearly as noble as veganism, but I have the same situation with chocolate. I can't eat chocolate. And so that eliminates so many choices for me on dessert menus.
Desserts,
and it's like,
candy, snacks.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like, I can't eat like 90% of it. So maybe there's 1 or 2 choices that I can eat at any given restaurant. And it makes it really easy to be like, do I even like either of those things? Nope. Okay, well then I'm not getting dessert. Like, I don't have to waffle about it at all because I'm definitely not going to be eating chocolate.
So connecting it to rhythm, maybe if there's only a few steps, we can master it faster.
And it eliminates confusion.
Right.
Definitely.
Right. Yeah, and at the end of the day, really, too much option just makes it more complex, right? I mean, a lot of people have proven it. And, going back to a point about wearing the same thing over and over again, when I went minimalism, I've worn 2-3 pairs of pants and black t-shirts for a year, and nobody had ever said anything. I was actually disappointed because I thought it was going to be a conversation starter.
You shouldn't have changed the pants. You should have had the same pants, same outfit every day.
But it was a cool experiment, and for me, it was like, it was actually easier. My wife loved it because I only wore the same exact t-shirts. I bought 5 of each of the same. I bought 5 for outdoor use, for 5 for workout use, 5 for at home use, and actually my mom hated it because she always said like, don't you have anything better to wear? I was like, Mom, this is my expensive black t-shirt. This is not the one I wear. Yeah, this is my nice one.
Yeah.
And I made it to a point to actually doing big things in black t-shirt, and I was able to sneak it to all the big events that we did because we did eBay event. I did my house. When I bought my house, I wore a black t-shirt. When I bought my car, I wore a black t-shirt.
Wow.
All the like cool things that I did in that span of a year, I wore in black. I went to the most expensive restaurant we've ever been in black t-shirt.
Wow.
So I was like, but no, I think that could be, could play a role that the more you eliminate things that truly don't matter, right? You actually only value so many few things. And when you value it so much, it's so easy to find a rhythm in. When you have your priority, when you have your non-negotiables, things that cannot and will not be cut off because of the substitute, or like things that don't have substitute, like kind of like you said, like no chocolates. It's not like you're trying to find an alternative chocolate. It's
Carob.
not like
Carob is the alternative. It's good.
Yeah. So I think we have really created a pretty good discussion and really have opened a lot of different possibilities, where people can actually start realizing and trying to find their rhythm in their season and not really getting too worried about balance, because sometimes balance is just an average of what everybody else is doing.
Yeah. And sometimes it's not realistic.
No.
And you're just setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah, because at that point,
at
that point I'm like, what's Anna doing? Let me do a little bit of that. What's Glenn doing? Let me do a little bit of that. What's he doing? And then next thing you know, I have like 20 things that I gotta be doing so that I could balance things out.
Yeah.
Like when I see somebody balancing life, it's like those kind of like clowns that have like plates, ceramic
spinning
plates, right?
Yes,
and like
Ken, that's a saying. Spinning
like,
too many plates.
Oh, that's the saying?
Yes.
Okay.
That's why it's a saying. Exactly right. You're just illustrating it perfectly.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What? For real? Okay,
I
man. See, I'm smarter than you guys.
Too many plates spinning. Yeah. Because then what happens? What happens when you spin too many? Ken,
Yep.
tell us.
It breaks. It falls.
Yeah.
It breaks.
They break. Yeah, exactly.
And then you go wear the clown suit again and do it all over the next day. Put your makeup on, put a fake smiley face on, and do it all again. No. You know what you need to do? Just spin a basketball. One basketball and be really good at it. And if it's fall, just dribble it. Just dribble it. Find a rhythm. Find the most important things in life and make it in basketball. So when it falls, it don't break.
And make it a basketball. Bounce back, baby.
Bounce back up.
Yeah.
I feel like this metaphor is getting so extended at this point.
No, I know. I mean, like we could riff off like 5 different episodes off of this, but we're not that kind of podcast.
I just want to point out that we seriously did not have any notes for this episode besides Ken's one
line
statement about it's rhythm, not balance.
That's all Ken said.
That is all we had to go off of. And I think it's really cool. I mean, these are the conversations we love having. It's awesome.
Yep. So, guys, thank you guys for tuning in. And also, this episode is brought to you by List Perfectly. One of the cool things that we can do with List Perfectly is I think it's a low-key feature that not a lot of people value. But if you value your time, you need to get onto List Perfectly. Because one of the things that you can do with List Perfectly is you can back up your listing. You can
all of them.
Forever, right? Like there's no limits. There's no drafts on eBay expire. On List Perfectly, once you get it on there, if something happens, if you do something stupid and delete your listings, you can
Ken's laughing at me because I just
it.
did that this morning, everyone. I deleted some listings on accident.
Yep.
Yeah, and I had not had those particular listings backed up in my List Perfectly catalog, and boy, did I regret it instantly.
Yep. So
I'm
That's when
working
you
on
just have
getting
to
everything.
get up and walk away.
Oh yeah,
Like, I'm done here.
It was definitely one of those, and I have been working on getting all my listings into my catalog, but I haven't made it through everything yet.
Right.
And unfortunately, the ones that I deleted were not in there.
So pro tip, before you get to 10,000 listings like Anna, start backing them up now.
It's actually 8,000 now. But
8,000 now.
Yeah.
So I think we're at 1,500 right now. So I think half of them are backed up already, or uploaded, but we're gonna have to work on the other ones.
Oh yeah.
Glenn's just starting to list now, so he better
Yeah.
back it up.
I'm trying to find my momentum. My
Back it
rhythm.
on up.
There we go.
Well,
Yeah.
and I think maybe one last little segue with rhythm. We are changing up the rhythm of our podcast episodes
yeah.
for the next couple weeks. Will you explain that?
Yep. So the next few episodes are gonna be kind of like the 12 Days of Christmas. We have gotten a lot of positive feedback. A lot of people loved it. It was between 8 to 15 minute segments. It's gonna be shorter, so we're gonna call this short and sweet
Oh,
mini episode. Like we've said in the beginning, change is not bad. Change of rhythm is good. So we're gonna intentionally switch up the rhythm in the next 2 weeks. We're gonna have mini episodes. So make sure you follow us on Instagram. You will get notified when the new one drop, and also on your favorite platform. I believe we're in over 10 different platforms, so make sure you
Yes.
put your notification on. We're also on YouTube, so click that bell button. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Click the heart button on Spotify. Thumbs up all across the board. And we will be giving you 10 different mini episodes that we're going to be launching after this episode.
Yes. It's
So-
actually the first couple weeks of May. So just put that in your calendar. First couple weeks of May, really fun, short and sweet mini episodes back by popular request. Some would say demand, back by demand. But we also
Alright.
have something really fun for you guys next week that is totally unprecedented. So definitely tune in next week as well.
All right, that's wrap. Kenny,
Rhythm is in, balance is out.
see ya.